Happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of BrainScratch. I'm John Lorden. Thank you so much for spending some time with me here today. If you're a longtime fan of the channel, you know that when I have a button-up shirt on, means we're doing an interview, and that's exactly what we have on today's episode. Last week, we covered the murder of Ronli Ratliff, and I mentioned in that episode that whenever there's a blip about her case on social media, her family shows up. Well, that's what happened, and today we are interviewing Ronli's aunt, an aunt that has been working so hard on this case over the years in terms of raising exposure, building up a Facebook page, being quoted in just about every article on this case. Today we're talking to Aunt Kim. And to the show, we are welcoming Ronli's aunt, Kim Sink. Now Kim Sink, formerly Kim Stout. So, you know, I had mentioned a couple of different Kims, but as you told me when we first got on the call, you're Aunt Kim.
I'm Aunt Kim.
And you've been Aunt Kim through all of this. And I also just wanted to thank you for kind of being the voice for this case. I just wanted to start with a little bit about Ronli. You know, I went looking for information for her. It's so hard to find. Can you just tell us a bit about Ronli? Like, what's one of your favorite memories about her? What type of person was she?
Well, she was very sensitive. She wore her heart on her sleeve. She easy to cry. Terrible, terrible driver. But when she laughed hard. Yeah. But when she cried, you felt it, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what's one of your favorite memories?
Favorite memories? Oh, goodness. Just the road trips that we would take, because she'd always ride with me or whatever when we'd go to Kentucky for the reunions, or if I needed to go downtown, because I don't like to go down there by myself. And so I just don't. And then Mom passed away, so now I don't have any road trip people. Oh. I remember trying to teach her how to drive, and we come around the corner. She wound up in the other turn lane, face to face with the car, and she's got the ball in that, and she looked up at the guy that was driving the other car, and he was just laughing. So it made her stop crying, but it was so funny.
Yeah. So her parents obviously separate. How old was she when they separated?
Oh, mercy. She was really young.
Was it hard on
her? Well, you know, it was. She wound up getting left alone a lot, or she was with her babysitter or nanny or whatever you call it, or me. I watched her, but no, she was very much loved. Her daddy, she's a daddy's girl, and my sister loved her. It was just a unique kind of a situation.
Gotcha.
Ronli was more like the mom, I guess, as they grew, as you know.
Yeah.
As she grew up.
So yeah, just to point out to everyone, Kim is her mother's sister. So that's the side of aunt that she is. A lot of people that watch the video want to know more about the stepfather, and I'll just be perfectly honest. There's a lot of people that are suspicious of him around this story. Can you share a little bit with us about that?
Well, I mean, it's just from the word get-go. I'd always thought that maybe I'd get a call about my sister where he had hurt her.
Okay.
But never did I think I'd get a phone call and it would be Ronli. That doesn't mean he did. And but I do believe they know without a shadow of a doubt that it's because of the drug use that he had brought around them. So with that, I mean, their involvement is there.
Okay.
Whether they did it or no, they did it. He was very violent, but I would call he was coward because he liked to hit and pick on women, but I never backed down from him.
Yeah.
He was afraid of me.
So I think there was a comment in one of the earlier articles where you said that Ronli might be afraid for her mother. Is this kind of the situation that you were referring to?
Right, because she had really gotten bad. She was really, really bad into it. Of course, I mean, on the day of Ronli's funeral, my sister, I don't remember much of the funeral. I was pretty much dragged there, but I do remember my sister being in the front yard of the funeral home. She'd cut her hair all off, and she was laughing like, I don't know, Gilda Radner had told her a funny joke. I mean, it's devastating. I mean, and I've often been mistaken that I'm her mom, and I correct them. I said, no, I am not her mom, because I don't want people to think that I'm her mom, because then they hear that her mom was on drugs, and then they think I'm her mom, and right. I've never liked being called my sister, ever.
Yeah. Okay, so we're being fairly quick and to the point here. Sandy, her mother, and Robert, her stepdad. There seems to be a lot of drug use that's going on around this. Some people were even theorizing if there was drug use going on at the business, or if the business was some type of front for drugs or something along those lines. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I wouldn't say it was a front.
Okay.
The business had been there for a long time, but it got ran down to the ground. But there was a lot of drug use there, a lot. And before Mr. Allen, Bob Sr. died, they did a lot of that out at the house that Ronli was in. And the house was in foreclosure. So, but no, the business was a legit business.
Right.
And I don't know, because after Bob died, I left. I left. I didn't want no part of it.
And you're talking about Bob Sr., right? Is Bob Jr. still around?
Sandy's husband, yes.
Okay. Are they still married?
Yes.
Okay.
Where is? I told her that she had to choose. If she was going to choose to be with him, then she doesn't have a sister.
So this has made a divide in the family.
Oh, and the whole family.
Wow.
I'm like over here, and then everybody else is over there. Nieces, nephews. They still love me, and they accept what I do. But yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. So Ronli, I take it that part of her name comes from her father, Ron Ratliff, right?
Right. And the Lee comes from a dear friend of theirs that was killed. Well, actually, Ronnie's. And his middle name was Lee, Warren Lee.
Okay.
And then Kay is Sandy's name. So that's where they are.
Where was Ronli's birth father around this? Did he live close to the area?
He just lives a little. I mean, he lived in between Mooresville and Martinsville, so not very far away. They had a very good relationship. I mean, her stepmom just loved her like she's her own, and you know, he was an awesome father as far as that goes. He was a really good daddy.
That's good to hear. Yeah, that's good to hear. So you effectively wind up taking the lead with media. I think we have a bit of an idea now if we've got her mother dealing with a severe drug addiction at this point. But is there any other reasons why you really had to step up and be the voice on this case?
Well, let me clear something. I do believe my sister is clean now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long it's been. And Devil Man, I believe they're clean. I've seen them when my mom passed and my sister passed. Other than that, I didn't. I have absolutely no respect for them. They've done some horrible things, even as recently as when my mom passed away. So,
okay. Yeah, and just to be clear to everyone, Devil Man is who she refers to as Ronli's stepfather.
God.
Yeah.
The detectives to get used to that too, but they understand.
Yeah. So Many viewers were wondering why Ronli's mother, Sandy Allen, wasn't in the media. I actually did go back, went through the articles again, and I found one article where she was interviewed in April of 2007. It was in the Reporter Times, and it stated, quote, "The day Ronli died, Allen said she lost it and went into shock. She said that shock lasted for over a year. Allen said she had a hard time discussing the crime with people." It then also talks about suspicions that she had about a former employee of the business who actually was investigated. It says that she says, "I looked him in the eye and asked him, 'Did you kill my daughter?' He looked me in the eye and said, 'No, I didn't.'" I just want to give you a second to respond to that because I saw your face kind of twinge during that. What did you think when I was reading that?
I've got an idea who she might be talking about, but it doesn't matter exactly who, because we're going to get them all. It still had to do with her and Devilman's drug use. So I know what I don't know for sure who she's talking about, but I can guess.
Okay.
Because when I was working there, because see, I worked at the body shop, and so I know it was going on and it had gotten bad, but I didn't know as bad as it was until I didn't know it was as bad as it was until maybe a couple of years before Ronli was taken.
I didn't know that you worked there. What did you do at the shop?
I was the little Miss Handy Woman.
Oh, really?
I worked in the fields. I worked on the rentals. I helped sand cars. I answered the phone. I was the office girl for a while. Now, after Bob died and I left and everybody left, that's when Ronli kind of went into the office and was trying to help. But by that time, it was just so busy in there, and her mother was so rude to her.
In what ways?
Well, just incidences like Ronli would come there and would want to visit. This is before she worked there, and actually I was working in the office, and she got off work, she come in, she wanted to visit with her mom, and so she sat down there and visit with me after she went upstairs to see her mom at an office. And her mom said, "Well, you just get on downstairs. I'm busy right now. I'll come and see you when I get done." Well, she had a couple friends in there. So about an hour later, Sandy and her friends come in and they leave. They just leave. And her daughter's sitting there just... I mean, they just left.
Yeah.
No. So... I don't know.
Yeah. So back to something else in this article. It also mentions that Sandy Allen was worried about Ronli living in the apartment because she was so trusting and wouldn't lock her doors. There's another quote that says, "She came back to her house where I thought she would be safe," Allen said. So do you know why she was worried about Ronli being at the apartment?
Well, I would guess because there was a lot of drug use going on at around the office. And now this is just assumptions because I don't know. I told the detectives I don't want to know because I would be dangerous then.
Yeah.
But I would assume because of the continuous drug use there.
Okay. So
I think go ahead.
No, I think you can help us understand this a little better because I was pretty confused trying to figure out the living arrangements. She has an apartment in Mooresville, is that right?
She had an apartment right there on the property of the body shop. Allen's body shop owned it.
Oh, okay.
And so she lived there. And it was not really a safe place because of the drug use, but it was also, it had an attic that you could crawl from one apartment to the other apartment.
Okay.
So if she was concerned about her living there, and was she living there?
So the house where this happens, is that where her mother and stepfather are actually living?
No, that house was in foreclosure.
Okay.
After Bob Sr. died, then they moved in the house with Devilman's mom.
Right.
So, but they stayed a lot at the office. There was a trailer or something behind the office. It was in an article, one of the stories. But I'm assuming they spent a lot of time there because there was hardly anybody that went out to the house anymore. It was just pretty much, I mean, they kept stuff out there, but it used to be party place. I mean, just.
Gotcha. That's kind of what I was wondering. Did anyone else have access to that house?
Well, a lot of people, because of that, I mean, and even way back, I mean, he's always been known because of the Allen name. He's got a cousin that's on the fire department and a cousin that is retired chief of police.
Uh-oh.
But I got a chain of thought going and I forgot what I was saying.
Oh, no. Well, I was just asking about the living arrangements and who else would be or have access to the house.
Anybody. There are so many people that would know about that house. So many people.
And they would go out there to party.
Well, I don't know if they was doing that much anymore since it started in town with their activities.
Okay.
But like I said, she's my sister, but I hadn't had a sister since 8-10 years before Ronli was taken. She'd been taking the drugs so much I had already lost her. So,
yeah,
that's just how it is.
Well, and we all, if we're aware enough, 1 in 10 people is dealing with some type of addiction. We all have someone close to us that's dealing with an addiction. And I know these things can be very tough and they can chew up families. I do just want to say, I hope that they got the help they need. I hope they're on a path towards better things as well. And I hope someday I hope someday that maybe you guys will have a chance to kind of patch things up.
It won't be until Ronli's solved. Because here's what I have to say. And this might clear it up as far as my family. And this is what I've always said. I know that I did not do it. Everybody else in this world has to prove their innocence.
Right.
To me, everybody I look at is suspect.
Yeah.
So there is not a moment through my day that Ronli is not there. I mean, literally thought about every moment.
I believe it. As a matter of fact, where are you right now?
I come to bring her some fresh flowers at the cemetery, her spot.
Yeah. Aunt Kim is literally sitting at the cemetery right now as we're talking. And I think that's just such a wonderful way to honor her and to try to keep her close to you. Because I know it's been a number of years and those could have been a bunch of great memories that unfortunately you don't have.
Yeah, she just turned 40 this year and I was 40 when she was taken.
Yeah. So Ronli was threatening to call the police or to kind of rat out what was going on.
Turn them all in, she said. Yeah. She's just going to turn them all in, she said. Well, she had an F word in there and she did not ever use the F word.
Wow.
So she was pretty upset.
And if you're thinking about it from her perspective, if this is a daughter and you see your mom going down this path with her new husband, and I mean, yeah, of course, you're going to try to do everything you can to help your family. And maybe that was what she was trying to do by calling that out. Hey, if you guys don't straighten this up, I'm going to call the police.
Yeah, but you just never know. You just never know what kind of people they're dealing with, and
right.
And I do believe it got pretty nasty and it got pretty hairy and I just don't know. I mean,
yeah,
it's enough concern that I sure don't want to be part of my sister. And that was part of after Mom died, I was able to just go ahead and do a lot more. I mean, so I got some banners and flyers and bumper stickers, and that's when people started coming out and talking. But that's also when I found out nobody wanted to talk to me because they thought I was still in communication with my sister.
Oh, wow.
So that was fruitful. I said, oh my goodness. So that's 16 years of people assuming that, I was part of them.
Right. And situations like this can be tough. I mean, when you have potential family members involved, there's some family members that'll try to cover that up. because they've already lost a family member and they don't want to lose another, you know?
Yep. Yep. I'm the only one in the family that will accept the fact that there is a huge possibility that it could be someone we know, but without a shadow of a doubt, it has to do with her mother's drug use.
Right.
I mean, that's whatever. I cannot forget. That to me, you know, whoever it is, I don't care, but they're going to take responsibility, and it's the drugs that did it. So that's no excuse.
So just to touch on something, I'm trying to close out a couple of things that I bumped into with this too. There was that article that talked about Jeffrey Voss, and I hate to even talk about these types of details, but I just want to know if you have any clarification on this. It stated that
the one that they said that he tied up and declothed the other ones as well, or something like that.
Yeah.
No, I don't know where they got that. I've never heard that. So I would think that if it was something like that, the detectives would have told me, because I do talk to them.
Yeah.
So if it's something that's going to be in the newspaper, they would have let me know.
Okay.
I would think, but no, they're not going to, they don't tell me everything they're going to do because I don't want to know.
Right.
But that's one thing that I never read it. I never heard it. So I'm going to assume they kind of got things maybe twisted.
That's kind of what I was afraid of, that it was just a misstatement. They were confusing details of the case they knew him attached to and just kind of said, oh yeah, these other bodies were found that way too.
Well, this is the media, I mean.
Yeah.
That's why, that was the media. That's why you like going through this is human. I mean, this is human. This is human heart. This is human nature, and this is just the way it is. And
we're not trying to squeeze this story into a certain number of words or something silly like that. We could take all the time and get all your perspective. I really appreciate being a part of this new version of looking into these things.
Yeah, because when I was listening, there was a few things to clarify.
Mm-hmm.
The business was handed down to Devilman.
Right.
And then it was just ran to the ground. So it really, I don't know. I don't know. They were just pieces of shit.
I hear you.
Sorry.
I hear you. So talking about the fire, did you actually see the damage to the home at any point?
Well, I tried to go in, and of course they wasn't going to let me go in, but afterwards, I did see the fire because I went in and started getting some stuff out of the house. Well, some people had already been there and going through stuff and getting it out of the house. So I'm like, what the hell? Because the fire was only right there in the vicinity where she's at, but it did kind of smoke and burn some of, the part of the room.
Right.
And my grandma's china cabinet was in the kitchen. Luckily, there's a big hole, like a bar thing, but I went and got that and a few other things, and so I seen it, and
So it was pretty well contained to that area. Some people were wondering, was this some type of insurance play? Like, was the house damaged enough and there was some type of insurance payout or something? But
no.
Okay.
No, because that would be. They really wasn't that stupid, because that's the first thing because it was in foreclosure and whatnot. So.
Oh, okay.
Just like this, these kind of things, 95% of the time, is someone close to them.
Right.
Rather, they did it or it's, somehow connected to somebody very close to them. Yeah. I know I did not do it.
Right. What happened? So did the family, or did the house get foreclosed on? Is it now out of the family?
It got sold. And let's see, out there, at that time, I had made some great big posters and flyers that I put on some big pieces of plexiglass.
Yeah.
Those got taken. She took one right out of my front yard, and I know it was my sister. And I took off chasing her. I said, "You killed your own daughter." And that's when her husband, Devilman, yelled. He said, "Well, you better watch out. You might be next." Like, come on, mother. Come on. I never did back down from him. When we was in elementary school, I beat him up. So
Wow. So you're trying to raise exposure, and people are literally going and taking things down, and one of them is your sister, her mother, that takes down a sign?
Oh, yeah. She does it now because, that wouldn't be very smart. But, yeah, she took several of them down back then.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. She never come out to the cemetery. That's what guilt will do to you.
So even, I was going to bring this up. I mean, the pictures of the anniversary that happened this past year, I was just so moved by the big presentation out there. Her mother didn't come out on that day?
Actually, I think the one that you showed was her anniversary date, April 15th.
Right.
Because we had one on March 14th that was her birthday, and I had a great big old string of helium balloons that was way up in the sky. I just kept tying them together.
Yeah.
And
her mother doesn't come on either?
Huh?
Her mother didn't come on either? Okay. Wow. So one other thing I wanted to try to close up the hoop on was Brian Keith Brown, the only person of interest that was kind of officially named in this case. They threw his name out there in the media. They arrested him. They said he lawyered up, and then the information stopped. Do you know if he's still a person of interest?
They always watch him. I think they've watched him for so many years, not just for this, but he's just a shady character. I mean, he's just really bad. So my understanding is they always kind of keep a track of where he's at.
Okay.
Just from other things. They just want to know what he's up to. Now, rather they're looking at him as somebody of suspect or knowing something, I don't know. Those are kind of things that I don't ask.
Sure. Because,
it's important for me to not jeopardize the investigation in any way. Oh, I just would just die.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. So they'll say something. I said, well, what was it? I said, no, don't tell me. I'm just kidding. Because they know I don't really want to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do, it's just like talking to you. I let them know what I was going to do, and I asked them if that's something that would be okay.
Right. Oh, good.
I pretty much go by what the investigation is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you made the perfect point. I mean, it would absolutely break your heart if you did something that jeopardized the investigation at this point. And honestly, it would break my heart too. I mean, that's not what we're here to do. We're here to try to help these things and help everyone that's working so hard to find justice for Ronli. So
there was something I was going to point out too, and now I can't remember. There's so many things that was running through my head, but you go ahead. You got questions. That'll help.
Yeah. So, well, since we're talking about the investigators, what do you think? You're interacting with them. How do you think this investigation is going on just on a personal level? What are your feelings about it?
On a personal level, they only started, the cold case team has only been on it for about 5.5 years.
Right.
So they had to go back and go through 10 years of and the original investigators did a really good job. It's just that there's so much that has changed because there was so many that was drugging at the time. Well, 16 years ago, they had one story. Then, just 14 years ago, it changed a little bit. And then just 10, as time progressed, their stories might change. Even if it just changes by one sentence, well, guess what the investigators have to do?
Right.
They have to go back and reconfirm. I don't want them to do anything until they know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that there's they got everybody and nobody can go anywhere.
So in the coverage I was looking at, I was running into constant talk about delays in testing and DNA tests and waiting for results. Do you know at this point, are they waiting for anything, or do they have everything?
Well, here's the thing on DNA. Of course, Ronli fought like hell. I knew she would. They didn't even have to tell me that. I knew she did. Whatever happened, I don't care if she was fighting a grizzly bear, she was going to fight.
Yeah.
So I know there's got to be DNA, but what they told me about the DNA and how the process is, they can only send in so many pieces of DNA at a time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No. And then like you talked about the one place, really set us back. And like I said, it seems like there's always something that, backtracks us. But and then there was one time when some of the evidence that you're probably referring to, well, they got another place to do it, and 2 of the cold case crew got in their car, drove it straight through to Florida, not leaving it. If one went to the bathroom, the other one stayed with the car, blah, 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 and took it straight down to Florida, because it was, they wanted this piece of evidence. But, the thing of it is, they got to cross the T's, dot the I's. This isn't NCIS, it's, people kind of think law and order and stuff. And yeah, it can work pretty good, but it don't work that way, because it's important to get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very interesting story. I'm glad you shared that with us, because they also maintain chain of custody by doing it that way, by driving it themselves from one location to the other. Yeah.
No, they can't do that with all of the evidence, obviously, but this cold case team, they've been on it. So not re-interviewing and re-talking and reconfirming and going back to this state, going back to that state. They're traveling all over the place to get information on Ronli and for Ronli and take care of Ronli. I call them Ronli's heroes.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, I'll start calling them that too. That's amazing.
That's I know a lot of people see this is another thing that's got me. There's 2 things that's got me upset, is there's just not enough positive support behind the cold case crew.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be all pissy because it's not solved yet. Well, I'm sorry. She was 24 when she died, so she lived through 24 years. So if it takes another 16, 24, hey, so be it, as long as we get it right.
Yeah.
As long as we get it right.
That's part of why I have a show where we do solved cases every Monday. And the one that's coming out this Monday took 33 years. And sometimes it does. But that's why we talk about those stories, because that's still justice. The family still gets their answers, and it is.
And I love talking about Ronli, obviously. It makes me cry, but it makes me happy because I could talk about her all day.
Yeah.
All day, all night.
One of the other evidence questions I had for you was about the mention that the cold case team made about cigarette butts and beer bottles.
Oh, yeah, I can only imagine how many. Like I said, they had so many people and so many things out there, and they had a little shack thing out the back. I can only imagine what, because they never cleaned it up.
So that was kind of like a bit of a party house, and that's why there'd be a bunch of beer bottles and cigarette butts all over the place?
Right. And that would basically be outside.
Okay.
I'm sure several of them inside, too. Ronli was not a partier.
Yeah.
That needs to be set clear, and that's one thing. Another thing that's altering or hindering the investigation is because Ronli's getting confused with another young lady, and I really don't want to say her name, but that other young lady was killed in an apartment, kind of forced an OD or whatever. So she was kind of in that wild side.
Okay.
So it's hurtful when people kind of assume it's her and I think, well, she's only 24. She was doing stuff that she shouldn't have been doing. And
yeah, that's unfortunate to make a mistake like that. And that's one of the other things I wanted to ask you about was there were so many viewers from the last video that were saying, hey, I live close to this area, or I live in this area and I don't know Ronli's case.
It's hurtful. It's hurtful to live in a small town like it is and not see her picture on every window throughout the town, homes, businesses. I do have some businesses that have them, and then I had some that take them down. And,
right.
And that's hurtful. It's just hurtful.
Yeah, I don't know why people would do that, especially on a case like this.
I just I post everything worldwide.
Yeah.
And I hear that a lot, and I'm like, how could you not know? This is your town. I've been on the news. I don't know how many times I've passed out flyers. Everybody knows me, and they know how I feel about things. So how could you not know?
Yeah.
That, like you said, the news media and stuff, they should have been down there, like those beautiful Delphi girls. I mean, bless their heart, but their town is behind them.
Yeah.
100%. Never had that with Ronli. Sandy talked about being in shock for a year. It was about 6 years before I knew anything. Lost my job a year after she was taken. Went to jail when I went to Florida for beating up my brother. And it was all over Ronli because I feel the way I feel. And, so.
Gotten through a couple of medical challenges that I read about, and her father as well. So this article talked about the part of Ronli's family that's still pushing for answers, but then that makes you think that there's a part of her family that isn't pushing for answers. Is that how it is?
Yeah.
So,
my sister's worried because everybody thinks that she did it because of her drug use. I mean, because we had a big meeting, the cold case team got us all together. I don't know, maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And it didn't go very well. I was pissed. I was cussing. Ronli's dad and Devilman were being so rude and disrespectful. Everybody started hollering, well, you're not doing anything. It's the same thing you told us, blah, 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 blah. And
yeah,
I didn't handle it very well. And the FBI guy, he was like, I'm watching you. Because I get very passionate about it. And I just think everybody should be a little bit more passionate. This is a small town, and this is their town. And, it's just a dark, dark world that surrounds it. And she didn't bring that dark world upon her. She was at home. I mean, she just did it.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that, I think the world just assumes, because she was 24, single.
Yeah.
That she was wrong, but that's not the case.
In terms of the family that's pushing, I know you have been doing that since the start. I know Ron has popped up a couple of places along the way as well. Is there other family members that are part of your team?
I've tried. A lot of lost faith. And since that meeting, I really haven't talked to Ronli's dad or stepmom. Again, It just, to me, that was just so rude and disrespectful to Ronli.
Yeah.
Not just the detectives and whatnot. It was just disrespectful to Ronli, his own daughter.
Yeah.
So again, there I go. I just, not a lot on Facebook, people sharing things, and I'm starting to get people to come out here for special events and stuff. So my banners have helped a little bit.
I love that you're keeping that in mind, that it's not just about pushing for the truth. Because Ron, I've seen comments from him that, quite honestly, I didn't even put in my show because I'm like, he's talking about that he wants to kill people or something along those lines. And you are striking this balance between, yes, there's a part of you that is so hurt by this, you want someone to pay in that way, but you're also recognizing that that's not the best way to honor who Ronli was.
Exactly. Oh, Ronli, she'd be upset with Aunt Kimmy if I did that. Yeah. She just wants the truth. She just wants the truth told and things to be fixed.
Yeah.
I will say that, the one thing that Ronli always wanted was her mom back, because of the world she was in. And so I guess, in a way, Ronli being taken did get her mom back. Ronli's little sister, Lita, gets to enjoy it. But,
yeah. Yeah.
At least Cindy's back.
Is Alana your daughter?
Elena is my daughter, and Lita is Ronli's sister.
Okay.
Half sister.
Okay. And I know that I had touched on some articles where Elena was talking about struggling with this as well. Is she still in that spot?
Yeah, see, Elena and Ronli are actually a lot alike. They're kind of naive and just sensitive. and they got along a lot like sisters. Ronli loved taking Lena places because she didn't whine about this or throw a fit or want this or want that. And so it's been hard on her. Her and Lita were only about 12. They weren't 14. They were, about 11, half 12 years old. So
Wow.
It really affected Elena a lot. And it still does. We still talk about Ronli.
Yeah.
But I've kind of slowed down. I don't talk anything that I might have talked about with the detectives. Not a single person knows what has been said.
Yeah.
So.
Do you stay in touch with Lita? No.
No, none of them have anything to do with me.
Okay. Yeah, man, that's got to hurt.
Lita just got married, and I haven't struggled with my kids right now. My son's not talking to me. But it's been a long 16 years.
Yeah. And you've got all the members of the family trying to deal with this in different ways, even to the point of, the addiction might have been there before, but I'm sure her mother's addiction got crazy difficult going through the loss of Ronli, and especially if there's any connection there to where she feels responsible.
Well, she does still respond. Well, I don't know. She said that day she did, but I really couldn't tell you. Yeah. I could not tell you anything about what she went through, how she felt. During all this, one time she did come to the house, and I told her, I said, you're more than welcome in the house as long as you're ready to leave and get out of that abusive situation. Yeah. And she couldn't do it, so I told her, I said, no, that's your choice.
Yeah.
And when I get my mindset on something, if you've broke my heart or you've done something, I can poof be gone you. You can stand right next to me and I'll see right through you.
Right.
So
right.
That's just the way I have survived 56 years.
Yeah. Absolutely. There was mention that by the cold case investigators that they said everyone they spoke to talked about how Ronli was a great person, except maybe 2 people. Mm-hmm. Do you know who the 2 people are they're talking about?
I do not know names as per se, but I do know that they was pretty much connected to persons of interest.
Okay.
So, of course, they had to try to knock Ronli's name down, but,
Gotcha.
It was all granted. No, she was not perfect, and she was not an angel. And there might have been some people that got upset at her, but she would never, ever deliberately hurt anybody except for the drug people. She didn't care what she said to them.
Right.
But she would never deliberately hurt anybody's feelings.
Yeah. So how often are you talking to the cold case team nowadays?
I usually try to touch and base with Detective Riffle. I don't know, every couple of weeks or so, or like if I get some information via my text messages, the Facebook, or anything like that, I always relay that on to them, and I never check up on it. I'll never know if they did anything with it or not.
Yeah.
But through the banners and the signs, then the web page, and then me putting it around the world, that has helped a lot. And I've got banners in different towns, just kind of where, I don't know, eventually we're going to have them all in all corners around Mooresville, just.
Yeah.
And they're big banners. They're 5 foot by 7 foot.
Nice. Well, so, you've got a great reason to. You can tell people, hey, we put out this video. Oh, look there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. See.
Yeah, we want to remove all those excuses that no one knows this story. So I'm so happy that you're
right.
Yeah.
And like I said, clarifying certain things might help people really want to help, and that's knowing that she's a good person, she didn't put herself in this situation to do this.
Right.
And they need to know that they can come to me because I'm not, and a lot of them are finding that out, but I've got people around the world that are following her, and they have got to know that they can trust me.
Yeah.
They got to know that they can text me or whatever they got to do. Put 2 cups on a string. I don't care. Just get a hold of me.
Yeah.
And if it's an easier number to remember, just call 911.
Mm-hmm.
Just call 911.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the tips, whatever. Just call 911.
Yeah.
My number's on Facebook. I've posted it around the world. Call me.
Right.
But leave a text message, because if I don't recognize your number, I'm not going to call you
Yeah.
back.
Well, I know you're probably already giving them the message loud and clear, but the next time you talk to the cold case team, let them know there's thousands of us out here that so appreciate that they're pulling together, that they're going through this, reworking this case, taking all these efforts that you were telling us about today. I'm so thankful that you were able to share that with us.
Right.
And we're all rooting for them. I can't wait to do one of those episodes of that show I was telling you about where we're talking about solved cases. I want the episode.
I can't wait for that day.
Yeah, I want the episode about Ronli's case being solved, and we're definitely with them. And if there is anything we can do to help you or them, all you have to do is reach out. You know how to get a hold of me. One of the viewers. Yep, go ahead.
Let me say one thing.
Yeah.
I will. Whatever you believe in, God, Buddha, the guy next door, whatever. I do believe that my mom was taken. See, she lost her younger sister last year in May, and then my mom died in June 9th, and then her older sister October 9th. They was all in the night. But I believe my mom was taken because she fell and died suddenly, because she's not supposed to go through this pain of this trial. It was painful enough for her for about 12 years until, well, maybe 11 years, until her and I come to a point, where we could talk about it. We just couldn't say certain things.
Yeah.
I didn't say devil man, and she didn't say his name.
Right.
But it's just been a long road, and I think it's about done, because I just don't think she was meant to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we truly hope that you're right about that, and you're not on this road alone. There's a bunch of us here that are stepping right behind you.
Thank you so much. I just cannot tell you how much that means to me.
Yeah.
And for the officers and the cold case team to be getting support. They need it.
Yeah.
They need all the positive support they can get.
Absolutely.
Yep.
One of the viewers on the first video, Melissa Stephan, wrote this, and I just wanted to share this to you. To Ronli's family, please continue to have hope. I'm so sorry for your loss and that you've not seen justice yet, but I know there is always hope. The death of a loved one of mine was solved after 8 long years, after I'd come to believe it never would be. Sometimes it feels it's been so long that there's no hope left, but don't give up. The truth is out there somewhere, and someone knows something. As time passes, sometimes answers shake loose from tight lips. You're on my heart, as is your beautiful Ronli.
Yeah, see? That's just so beautiful. And then I know people's hearts around the world and next door neighbors and stuff. I got a lady that lives up just around the corner from me. I live up in the country. I found out, well, she's a follower, and then we found out that we live down the road from each other, and so we'd not met or anything, but it's warming to the heart knowing that now, after all these years, and I got one of them big 5x7 banners at my house, along with lights. I used to have it here, but they made me move a lot of the stuff, so that kind of really broke my heart. But but it is fascinating, because I've got people that are from, I don't know, Egypt and Australia that will text me every now and then or message me and just give me a boost of positive, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, isn't it amazing what this has given us? I mean, just me being able to talk to you like this here today, this whole social media layer, making all these people connect in this way. And it doesn't matter what part of the world they're in, if they send you the right message that lifts you a little.
Well, I've got a nephew that lives that is from Alabama, but he's in an Oregon prison, so you just never know. You never know where the bad guys are going to wind up.
Right.
That's bless his heart. But he's in Oregon and he lives in Alabama, so go figure.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind everyone out there, please continue to share Ronli's story. Of course, we'll have a link to the Facebook group in the description box down below. We have people talking and caring, and I think the number one person in that line we've got on the screen with us here right now. We just need to reach the right person that has the information and enough heart to act on it and call it in. Contact info that you need is in the description box below if you are that person. Kim?
Now remember, people, any word could be the one word that connects it. I mean, you may not think so, but it could be just that one word or that sentence that got left out 14 years ago or 16 years ago or 10 years. Just please remember that. Don't think that you have to have this big explosion of information. Any little thing.
Yeah. That's a good point. And if you spoke to an officer 16 years ago about this case, maybe call it in again. Let the cold case team process it again. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Definitely.
Anything you want to say?
Don't get mad at them because they haven't got back with you. Just get back with them.
Yeah.
That's what they need. They need us, the public, to get behind Ronli and get behind them and call. Just call. Yeah. Even if you think, well, I already told them that 10 years ago. You might have another word that you want to add into that paragraph that make the whole meaning different. So
yeah,
I really, really, really do appreciate from the bottom of my heart and from the bottom of Ronli's heart. Thank you so much for your podcast.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for trusting me to share this information with everyone. And please send my best to the family. Give Elena a big hug. Let her know that we're thinking about her too. And if there's anything I can do, you know how to reach me.
Well, if you have any questions, you just give me a call and I'll do the best that I can to answer it.
Yeah.
I think we did pretty good today clarifying some things that I thought were important.
Good.
That people know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so too.
I appreciate you went through the papers and you read and you highlighted and I listened to your podcast. Probably at least 4 times, but
yeah,
and I appreciated that because that showed that you was really interested and you really cared. And I just tell everybody, just say her name. Just say her name. Ronli K. Ratliff, just say her name.
Yeah.
That's all you can do is just say her name.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Kim. I wish I could give you a hug.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There we go. Got it.
There we go.
All right.
I always feel privileged and honored to be in a situation where I can speak to family members like this and help them raise awareness for the cases that are impacting their lives so strongly. But with Aunt Kim, I just really, she just tugs at, from the first clip that I saw of her talking about this case, she has tugged at my heart. And certainly after today's conversation, I'm pretty sure many of you are feeling the same way. This woman is passionate, determined, and I'm just so hopeful that she gets to the end of this journey that she's been on for 16 years to find justice for Ronli. Thank you so much for coming on today, Kim. Please remember that I can't have these open, frank conversations about cases like this without your support. The videos that we cover here on the Lord and Arts channel always have limited YouTube ads. Sometimes they can't have any YouTube ads, so I ask that you please check out www.lordandarts.com for several ways that you can contribute, and together we can help these families who are facing some terrible, terrible situations. And if we can make their day just a little bit better, I know it's all worth it. We have a new episode of Yellow Tape coming up this Sunday night. It is live. I'm going to be there. If you would like to be there, please check the description box below for a link, set a reminder, and join us. I hope to see you there. If not, I'll be back Monday with a new episode of Case Cracked right here on the Lord and Arts channel.